And so a couple times they kept driving, man. I mean, they've hit me and kept going. And again, I don't mean they hit me.
Yeah,
but they have clipped me. Yes, like their mirror hit me, or it's happened many, many times, man.
Yeah.
So my rant is about I just cannot believe stop means stop.
Yeah.
And it's ironically enough, I had this written down earlier in the week about my rant, and then I saw a friend of mine posted something where he posted a picture of a stop sign, and underneath the stop sign it said "Stop means stop."
Right.
And I'm like, that's funny because that's my rant for tonight.
Yeah.
You know? But I know I knew what that meant immediately because I'm like, yeah, this is not a yield sign.
Right.
It's not a slow down and roll through. Some people don't even. You know what it is normally? It's when they're pulling up to a stop sign and they're going to take a left. They're not looking to the right to see who's walking or running down the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Right. So they're just looking to see if it's clear, and then they just go. Or
right.
maybe am I thinking I'm thinking
you got it reversed.
Yeah, I got it reversed.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Right. So they're not looking they're just looking at the street. They're looking to the left, just to see if no one's coming. I can go.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm coming from your right.
Yeah.
Into the street. Yeah, I reversed it. I said it the wrong way the first time. But yeah, dude, it's happened so many times over the years. And these cops, I'm thinking, where are the cops at? They could just sit there's one particular one in Marengo. They could just sit there and write tickets all day long.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they could fund everything for this entire town.
Right, yeah. Everything's made of solid gold now. Thanks, stop sign.
It could be, because no one stops at that stop sign.
And it's so absurd. I mean, I'm sure I'm guilty of it, every once in a while, rolling up to a stop sign. But you're right, being aware of your surroundings, because that's one of my biggest fears, when I'm driving down the road, is some kid running out from a... And I mean, obviously, that could happen in the middle of a street. It doesn't have to be at a stop sign. But yeah, because I remember my driver's ed teacher in high school said that if you were to hit someone, your best course of action would be to put your car in reverse and run over them again until they're dead, because otherwise they're going to sue you until you have can no longer bleed money.
Yeah, and that is a scary thing too when you think about it, and then you got the people who are texting when they're driving.
Oh yeah,
it's it takes 1 second,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you got someone in front of you and they slam on their brakes and you look down for a second to text, that 1 second you're slamming into them.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially if you're on I-90 or something. I mean, you drive the expressway every day.
Every day.
And man, I mean, just that literally 1 second, like you said, and it's not even the full second. It's like a quarter of a second where somebody just pulls over in front of you, in the wrong in traffic. Don't even realize it that there's a gridlock up in front, and they pull over in front of you and right away.
Yeah. I've seen videos like that, on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I just watched one the other day.
It must be the same one.
The worst highway crashes ever, or whatever. My god, that was intense.
He did it in front of a semi.
Yep.
And right when he got around the semi, there was cars right there. I
Yeah.
just hit the microphone. They hit the car, I hit the microphone.
Yeah.
But it's and there's no way that person survived.
Oh, no way.
That car was annihilated.
Was that the same one with the guy at the toll booth? There was a car sitting at a toll booth, and a semi truck couldn't stop and came up from behind him, and the car just exploded.
I don't think that's the same one.
Oh
I'm talking
god,
about.
it is. I'll have to see if I can find it and send it to you, because it is awful.
Yeah, that stuff scares me because I'm always thinking. My wife knows this too. I'm overly protective and overly scared.
Right.
And I think it's because I've watched too much Dateline and
Right,
48
yeah.
Hours and things like that. But yeah, just things like that. I always tell my wife, especially if she's driving with my daughter, please text me when you leave, text me when you get there.
Yep.
And it sounds like it's not a control thing at all in any way.
No,
shape, or form.
I'm the same way with my wife, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and my wife does the same thing to me. She's like, text me when you get there,
Yeah.
text me when you get in the car to go home or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I'm just so nervous about that stuff.
Yeah, me
Whenever
too.
she says she's going somewhere and I'm at work or something, I'm like, please text me when you get there.
Yeah.
And then sometimes she'll forget, and I'm a wreck.
Yeah.
It's like, please, and she's like, I know, I'm sorry. I'm like, you don't know what you're doing to me,
Right.
All I sit there is worry, because it happens all the time, unfortunately.
It does, no, and it's terrifying. Yeah,
it's very scary.
And my wife is compulsive for not charging her phone. She's compulsive.
Yeah.
She's 1% Katie is what she is, because she always has 1% battery life on her phone. So it's always like, hey, text me when you get there. Well, I'll try, but my phone might be dead. I'm like, well, then you better have somebody else text me when you get there. So
yeah, it's funny if husbands use that same line.
Right, yeah.
It wouldn't work.
Yeah, right. Oh, my phone was dead all night. I don't know. Right.
And ignore the fact that I have glitter and smell
Yeah,
like
right.
baby powder.
I don't know what happened to all those singles that were in my wallet.
Yeah,
So
the glitter is from I was trying to rub glitter together to charge the phone.
Right, exactly, yeah,
I know
right.
that makes no scientific sense,
Right.
but that's what I was doing.
fairy dust. Right. I made a wish that my phone would be charged.
Right.
So.
And you should have seen the angel that came down.
I know.
I got an easy. We've almost changed the course of this show, which I'd still have to say it's primarily about success.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that we get on topical subjects and we like to have a lot of fun and we get on rants and we're picking each other's brains and
Oh, absolutely.
trying to figure hard thought processes out. So I like that.
I do too. Yeah.
It's like I said, I like to be challenged and I like how you ask the right questions. And it's interesting. I think it makes the show interesting. So the success part of the show that I want to talk about is it's pretty simple. And I think the reason I clearly don't want to say we're running out of success ideas because we could talk about this forever. All the time,
absolutely, yeah.
People make careers out of it, and I adhere to it. I adhere to that. I listen to it. On a daily basis. So basically the success advice, I guess, would be on this one is just it kind of goes back to everything we always talk about, but I think most of the time they do. In other words, a lot of the success books are the same.
Yeah.
They might have a different title, they might have a clever different title or a different approach to it, but they kind of all have the same ideas.
Yeah.
And my thought process tonight is just about. It's really simple to succeed, and it's really simple to create success, and that's why again I don't want to keep kicking a dead horse,
Yeah.
But it's just don't make dumb decisions. You can make decisions in the sense that you're trying something, and it might not be the right approach. That's not necessarily a dumb decision. You're finding a better way. You're finding a way that it doesn't work. It's funny. Our line of vision is.
I know, right? I feel like I'm like
your face is cut in half because of this microphone. But I'm just always intrigued by people that constantly are making dumb decisions.
Oh, God,
and
yeah.
then wondering why they can't achieve success, why they can't get anywhere in life, why
Right.
they can't, and it's constant. And it really is by the choices that we make.
Right.
So, it's one of those things. Some people you can lay out success-type foundations for them, and they're amazed by it, and they follow it, and they achieve success. Some people you almost do have to shake them and rattle them
Right.
and go, look, stop doing stupid things. That's why you're not achieving success.
Right.
You're doing dumb things. You're making dumb decisions. And when you're supposed to go left, you're the one going right.
Yeah, right into a wall.
Yeah,
Right.
right into a wall. Like, quit doing the wrong things. Like, success is actually pretty easy. And again, I've achieved it. You have achieved it. Josh has a new book. It's
Yep.
on bookshelves now. But
It is, yeah.
eventually-
Tomorrow night is the
Yeah.
official release party for it. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's at the Main Street Poorhouse in Woodstock. Another person, actually, the proprietor of the Main Street Poorhouse is a guy that he strove after success. He was one of the guys. He used to be out at Superstars all the time. Bryson.
Yeah.
So but he just went out there. He decided he wanted to do this, and he's been successful at. I think he's owned it for 2 or 3 years now. And he's made a name for himself out there, and also Arlene Lines, who owns the bookstore and that Read Between the Lines, she's successful as well. She's moving. She's actually, her store is closed presently. Will be closed till October because they're revamping and they're going down the block to Seasons by Peg, where that store used to be, the old cobblestones.
Yeah.
And she's taken over that space. And she's been open. I want to say this was her 10th year open.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but that's all successful people. But, what's funny is that, obviously I feel like we've talked about how we both achieved success. But I'll be honest, I would have probably achieved it earlier than I did if I had actually not been making stupid decisions, like going out to the bar and getting loaded and like hanging out with people all the time. I could have probably written 2 books in that time frame. And it was because at that time, like you said, everybody else was going left and I was going right. So and I could have been like, all right, tonight I'm going to go home and I'm going to write and I'm going to just pump this out. I'm going to find an agent. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But instead I was like, tonight I'm going to, oh, that girl's pretty.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And that's my downfall. Let's be perfectly honest. So
Yeah. But, you're still a young guy. You're only in your 30s. It's
Yeah.
not like you're an old guy and you just got to.
No, true.
You've got 2 books on bookshelves, and that could be bought on Amazon, correct?
Amazon bought
There you
it.
go.
You can order it at any bookstore. So
That's amazing, man. That's a high level of success, And sometimes you have to be repetitive because we are on the radio. We don't know who heard what, but this goes back to again. Josh was a guy that wanted a book. He didn't get lucky. I always want to kick people when that guy got lucky.
Yeah.
That's why he's successful.
I agree.
But they weren't with you in your example or my examples of working hard and studying and learning. And Josh worked a full-time job, still works a full-time job, but then he'd get off work and go into a makeshift office and write up until 2 or 3 in the morning and wake up and do it again when he wanted to play with his. I think only one kid at the time, right?
No, actually, when I was writing the first book
children.
was like that. I only had Gus hanging around, but the second one, yeah, I had Penny as well.
Yeah.
It was either I had Penny or like when I first got the news and people were into this 280 Steps was interested in Scratch the Surface and delving deeper.
Yeah.
I think Penny had just shown up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, there's sacrifices. That's a lot of people don't want to put in the time or the sacrifices to do what it's going to take to be successsul.
Right.
They just want to. You're lucky. Well, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But wow, you're just lucky though.
Right.
And I get that a lot. I know you've probably. I mean, maybe not even to your face, and maybe it's not always. It's not always like an intentional type of like diss. It's no one looking at you and saying you're lucky. You're just a piece of crap, and you just got lucky.
Yeah, right.
I don't think people really think that, but it's like I don't think they know. Like, yeah, but do you know how the hard work I put in, the hours that I put in, the time I put in, the sacrifices I made when I really like to be with my family, but I couldn't be because, those are the types of things nobody sees.
And at that point, legitimately, like my family was all asleep, but that was one thing I was like, I would really like to be sleeping and get some rest. But but I decided it was, this was something that I wanted to do, and I strove for it. And I was actually just telling my wife the other day that I took a little bit of a hiatus because I was, kind of getting some other stuff done, working, getting prepared, and I said, once we get back from our vacation, I'm hitting the ground running. Like I'm going for the next book. I'm going to sit it. I got it all mapped out. I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to pump it out, and I'm going to go back to doing the sacrifices again. Being up late and getting up early and doing what I got to do. But I was going to say this too. It's funny because I've always wanted to be a writer, and about probably 13 years ago, I was working at Starbucks in Woodstock, and I was, dabbling. I was writing bad poetry, which is what every writer, I think, does when they first starting out. They're writing just terrible, terrible poems, and doing a little bit of short stories here and there. And when I was up there making coffee for people, I'd be talking to them, and there was always the small talk. Hey, what are you up to? Blah blah blah.
Right.
And people would always say, "So what do you do in your free time?" And I got this question so many times. I can't even tell you the exact number, but it was always, "What do you do in your free time?" And I'd say, "Oh, I'm a writer." And every single person would be, "Oh, you write? Oh, yeah, I've always thought about writing. I've always thought about writing a book, and it's just something that it's a nice hobby to have, writing and blah blah blah." And I was always like, "No, that's not exactly how I picture that, as far as that, because it's not really a hobby. I mean, right now it's something that I'm striving towards." But I always wondered if I was to say, what were your hobbies? And I say, "Oh, I'm an astronaut." If people would be like, "Whoa, man, I astronaut all the time. I love astronauting. I'm astronauting right now." Like, because it just drove me nuts. Because I'm like, no, it's not a hobby. Like,
right.
It's something that I'm doing. Yeah, you might write in a greeting card, but that's not making you a writer.
Yeah, everybody writes. I mean,
right.
I wrote on this piece of paper today. It doesn't make me
right.
an author. It doesn't,
right.
And a lot of it's perspective, but I mean, yeah, you could literally say you're a published author. I mean,
right.
You have 2 books on bookshelves. Third one coming.
Third one coming in October.
Writing another one. So
yeah. And I got a third or a fourth one that's the one that was released just as an e-reader. Bullets Are My Business. But that was, that's what I mean. Like, and that's where it started. And even after that one came out, I didn't stop. I kept writing. So
right.
yeah,
right. That's the key in the foundations of success. I mean, listen to Josh and what he's saying. I mean, it just didn't I mean, the guy wanted to be a writer so bad, he worked in a bookstore.
Yeah.
It's like I've related you to like Quentin Tarantino, for example.
Yeah, right.
He wanted to work in movies. I think he was even a high school dropout.
He was,
and he worked in a video store.
Yeah,
and he looked at that as almost like his library. That was his college.
Right.
I've got this library of movies at my command. I could pop in anything and watch anything, and that's what he did. And he studied movie. I mean, he's a movie
connoisseur.
Yeah, exactly. And that's almost the same thing as you. You worked in a bookstore. You wanted to be an author.
Right.
A lot of times success comes from finding your passion, but diving into it.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe not in the exact way you want it to be, But, I mean, maybe starting at the ground level. Maybe
Yeah.
starting at what could this lead to. Maybe if I want to be an author, start reading books, work in a bookstore, maybe meet other authors.
My one advice that I always give to people, and it goes back to some previous advice that we've talked about on the show, surround yourself with those types of people, the type of people that you want to be. And one thing I always give whenever somebody's talking to me about writing and they're serious about it, I tell them your best bet is to go to every author signing you can go to.